Greetings. Thank you for joining Future Generations University for Amplify Your Impact, a webinar series that is designed to highlight digital communication skills that will help you communicate with your community, your messaging. The mission of our university is to advance research, learning, and action towards inclusive and sustainable change worldwide. And we do that in a variety of ways, including through peer-to-peer learning, such as what we do in this webinar series. We're pleased that you're here to join us, and I'm also pleased to recognize and elevate today's presenter, my colleague, Lindsay Kazarek. Lindsay is a native of Southwestern Pennsylvania, currently residing in Pendleton County, West Virginia, where Future Generations University is headquartered. She specializes in community outreach for the Future Generations Appalachia team and serves as recruitment and communications associate for the university. She is the 2020 Water Quality Association's Excellence Award recipient for her work creating and organizing community-wide programs providing water treatment and other therapeutic accommodations for children with compromised immune systems, specifically those undergoing cancer treatments at no cost to their families. This is just one example of the community engagement work that Lindsay does. In her free time, she enjoys gluten-free cooking, which I have been the happy recipient of, making tie-dye, gardening, and adventuring through the Highlands with her partner Josh and their dogs. So Lindsay, I now turn it over to you to take us through today's presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we have a very packed presentation today. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And while we're doing that, if you want to continue sharing your favorite YouTube channel in the chat, please go ahead and do so. Or if you have already created your own YouTube channel, go ahead and share that so that we can see it as well. That would be even better. So what we are going to be talking about today is using YouTube and a webinar series to grow a community. And what you'll take away today is a simple system to plan this YouTube channel and a webinar series if you choose to use a webinar series and the concrete steps to do so. So why would we want to pair a YouTube channel with a recurring revenue, a webinar? So YouTube provides discovery and a replay library. So YouTube actually functions as a search engine. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here later. And the webinars, they provide live energy with relationships and conversion and conversation. And when you pair those two together, it gives you this awesome flywheel of attention that builds trust and provides action. And it's a really awesome opportunity when you have those two things together. So something really important that we want to discuss here today is, what do we mean by community? We mean two things by community today. Community is the people who share something in common and have the ability to act together. And then the community, we're going to take that online. So your job is to lower the friction to get this community to act together online. And that is that's going to be on your YouTube channel. Excuse me. So first things first, whenever we are thinking about creating a YouTube channel, you want to pick a format for that YouTube channel. And if you have been to our Out of the Woods channel, or the nature-based channel that we have here at the university for the Appalachian program, you will see that what we have is predominantly a how-to or like a case study type of channel. And we do that by creating partner spotlights and panel discussions. We don't ever want to position ourselves as the know-all be-all in the industry. And so that is the approach that we take. That does not mean that that is the approach that you take. So these are some of the uh, examples, and you'll want to consider one or consider a few of those, but master one of them. When you go to set up your YouTube channel, this is a little bit of what it'll look like here, but you'll want to have a channel art. You'll have a banner that'll go at the top of the page. It shows up more predominantly if someone is viewing your YouTube channel on a desktop. And then they'll have an avatar. And you want to keep this the same so that you have a consistent brand. And that way, if anyone sees that banner or that avatar, they immediately recognize that that is your channel. You'll have an about section. And if you have it already, put your mission there and include a link to a web page if you have that available, or maybe you have a one-page document that is really important. And it discusses what your mission might be, or there is, something that is already established and it's important for your community or your organization to communicate. Include that there. And then you're going to have default upload settings. And this is the description block of a video, tags. And the tags are really important because the tags are going to act like SEO at this point. And so, for example, whenever we upload videos for the Appalachian program, and they are typically about maple production, we use things like maple syrup, um, Appalachia, West Virginia, things like that. And then this is a little bit more advanced, and this happens once your channel is a little bit more developed, but you can break things into what's called chapters and or for your videos, and that helps people navigate what you have uploaded just a little bit better. And then playlists that match your video core topics. So for example, on the Appalachian Programs channel, we have things for agroforestry, we have things for elderberry cultivation. And so we want to make sure that whenever someone is coming to our channel and they aren't interested in maple syrup at all, they just want to check out what we're doing with elderberries, they know how to get directly to that elderberry information and they aren't lost looking for maple syrup information. That's where those playlists come in, pretty handy. And so you want to make sure that those are organized, and that's what you do there. And the channel keywords and your handle. The handle, that's your name. So that's the at whatever is after that. You can pick that name and you can change it every so often. I think it's 14 days. I don't recommend you changing it every 14 days. Pick your handle name and keep your handle name because that's your identity. I don't think anyone would recommend changing their name every 14 days. You don't want to change your YouTube name every 14 days because how would anyone find you? And then your keywords, think about what are the strongest words that associate with your community or your organization and the content that you would be creating on that channel, and then keep those keywords as closely related to that content. And then those would be your core keywords and start there. You don't have to make that too complicated as you're getting started. So getting started with a YouTube channel, you don't have to have insane gear. We don't have a ton of gear whenever we're doing our um, our webinars here at the university. Like right now, as you can see, I'm using this exact same headset that is pictured right there. Almost wearing that exact same outfit, actually, now that I'm looking at it. But just have good light. You don't have to have an expensive camera. I don't have an expensive camera. I'm just using the camera that's on my laptop right now. I do have a ring light, but I don't even have that turned on right now. And it's not an expensive ring light. I think I got it at like Five Below, so it was less than $5. And then these earphones that I'm using, I think these are close to 10 or 15 years old, and they came with an old Android phone that I got, and they just plug in to my laptop. And this is what I use to produce not only this Amplify webinar series, but also our Out of the Woods webinar series. And this is super low cost tech. You don't have to invest tons and tons and tons of money into the tech to get started. And truthfully, if you are in a quiet environment, you can record without the headphones plugged into the computer. You don't have to have them. It's just something I like to have. But while you're recording, you want to make sure that you have a stable shot. And this goes back to some of the things that Bruce had talked about whenever we did our photography session. So if you missed that, you want to make sure to check out that recording. But Bruce had talked about some really good tips on how to get a stable shot, either with a tripod or with your body. I'm definitely not Bruce, but he had mentioned using your body to create a tripod if you don't have one yourself, and stabilizing yourself, creating 3 points of contact. So you can do that if you don't have a tripod. And then also just make sure that whenever you are filming, that you have a clean backdrop with a tidy frame. You don't want there to be a lot of clutter in your background, unless that's something that you're trying to film for whatever reason. So this right here is a little bit of a cheat sheet that we use to create SEO on YouTube that helps get you noticed. So whenever you create your title, and you can literally copy and paste and use this because we will share this presentation with you. The title, you want to have sort of a promised outcome plus a keyword for your community. So an example that we use is real results for red maples in Appalachia. And so what we were talking about there is tapping red maple trees in Appalachia here in the United States to get sap out of them to make syrup. And for those of you that aren't aware, you don't know, a lot of people don't tap red maples. And so that's how we got the attention of our community. You want to have a strong description in the first 2 lines or so. And if needed, you want to have a call to action. That's what that CTA is. You want to have a call to action link. So if you only want to have one call to action, because we as human beings aren't good at following more than one direction at a time. So if whatever you want your audience to do, put it there, and that's it. So if you want them to register, put that registration link there. If you want them to visit your website, put that website link there. But don't have your audience do more than one thing at a time, because we as human beings, we just aren't going to do it. The tags, again, they want to support that keyword cluster. So if you are working food, uh, in food systems, think about what your goal is. And if you are working to support, say, SNAP benefits, think about, what you would be putting there. And it would, those might look like government shutdown, um, food deserts, supporting families. And then as you are going through, and you are creating those chapters allow someone who is coming to your channel to just scan super fast and say, oh, okay, that's information that I want to view or see, and that allows them to know that this is the right channel for them. And then the playlists, those are creating those topical funnels that we talked about earlier. So those are the high level um, sections where once you have several videos, you section those into those categorical um, sections that are a little bit more easier for everyone to see how everything relates together. And then once you start doing that consistently, YouTube recognizes this and it starts putting your channel into search features. So the next thing is the thumbnail, which is the picture that shows up whenever someone is either searching for or comes across your YouTube channel. There are some best practices that you can follow. Not saying that this is the perfect example of it. This is the thumbnail that we use here at the university, but you want to have one big idea or one big emotion. So ours here is out of the woods, and so we really want to capture the attention of farmers, producers, or our service providers that are interested in the forest. And it has a face or a big object. You don't want it to be super wordy. And then you want there to be high contrast. So we have a darker background with lighter words. And then make sure, whoop, sorry about that. Make sure that if you want your logo to be visible, that it's not blending into the background. So as you can see here, we don't have a background here on our logo, and we have that high contrast as well. So if you are creating the images for your YouTube site, this is what you're going to be looking at. So there are lots of different options now on YouTube with the shorts and with having the different features that are coming out constantly to keep up with TikTok and Reels and all this other stuff. So you have several different options now, not just the standard video. And so I wanted to include this so that you could see the different dimensions available to you for creating content. And so when you create that content, how are you going to create it, and how are you going to get it onto YouTube? There's a couple different ways. So you can do a live. So if you go on to YouTube, you have the ability to just be live on YouTube, just like you do on Facebook or Instagram nowadays. And you can do this by just going on to your YouTube site, and I'll show you here in a moment how to do that. Um, and there are advantages to doing that. Most all of the digital platforms, their algorithm prioritizes live posts. So whenever someone goes live, the algorithm sees that and they bump that to the top of feeds. Once people start getting engagement, that post continues to stay up there. So there's a lot of community energy and a sense of urgency that is associated with a live post, a live video post, I should say, excuse me, a live video post of any kind on any platform. And that includes YouTube. You can do a premiere post, and a premiere post is one that is scheduled. Um, so this is a little bit interesting because we do this with our out of the woods videos. So what we do is, and if you follow our channel, you'll have seen this. So I go in at the start of each month and I schedule that we're going to go live on YouTube on the third Thursday of every month, whatever that may be. Um, and then uh, that video is scheduled and it sits in our upcoming live feed. So anyone that comes to our YouTube channel will see that we have an upcoming live coming for Out of the Woods on whatever that third Thursday of the month is at 7 p.m. And that creates hype. That creates excitement. That creates FOMO, that fear of missing out. And we do this, and this is consistently. So this is not, we don't ever have Out of the Woods on a different day. It's not ever on a Friday. It's not ever on a Monday. It is always the third Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. And then when that third Thursday comes and we go live, we're live on YouTube and we have live chat available. We are able to broadcast this to our entire YouTube channel, plus whoever might just also find us based on the SEO for that specific program. And so that's a really nice feature to have because then we don't have to be in the moment on YouTube doing all of those things. And I'll show you that here in a minute. The other option that you have is to just record a video. Say there's lots of times, and we have done this as well on our channel, we are out in the field. Um, there's no cell phone service, there's no internet connection, and there's no possibility whatsoever that we can, go live on YouTube or any application whatsoever. And that's totally fine. So what we do is we record the video footage that we need, and then we come back to where we had connectivity, and we are then able to upload that video to YouTube. And in some cases, um, we have, say, a partnership and we need to edit video. We need to put logos in and we need to give credit to, say, the Department of Agriculture because they partnered with us on this video and there needs to be proper attribution for everything. And so that gives us the flexibility to do what we need to do. And then we upload that video and make sure that everyone has the appropriate credit and we hit go and it's saved to a playlist and it's beautiful and we're good. That's the beauty of YouTube. You can do one of those things or you can do all of those things. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's flexible and it works for you. Um, find what you're comfortable with and run with it. But make sure that you're just consistently posting because consistency is what's going to build your community. Um, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Just be consistent. So, the next thing to consider is a Zoom webinar or a YouTube Live. So, if you want to do a Zoom webinar, the perks there are that you do get registration and reminders. So, as you guys know, if you registered for this, you got reminders leading up to it, and then you get, emails from us after the fact. In a Zoom webinar, you have the options to have breakout rooms, all the little bells and whistles that all of us are familiar with being in class. It's great for workshops, all of that. You don't instantly have, well, you'd actually don't have any of that stuff with the YouTube Live. Um, basically with YouTube Live, you just have the live video and the public chat. You can get a replay, and it's fantastic for the broad reach and the discovery features that are available on YouTube. Um, it's also free. So, there are some things to consider there, depending on whether or not you're able to get that nonprofit Zoom account. Uh, there are some options there for you as well from a cost savings standpoint, but to have a Zoom excuse me, to have Zoom webinar access, you do have to pay for that Zoom account. And something that's super important is making it incredibly easy for your community to show up. If it's difficult for your community to find your page, to register for whatever you're doing, or to remember that you're doing it, they're not going to show up. And so just make sure that, however you are hosting your channel, um, that you have a landing page and that you're explaining your channel with at least 3 bullet points, no more than 5, with a date and a time so that people know when and where they need to be. Um, we are very, very busy people. Community development is not for the faint of heart, and we are busy. Remind your community developers um, that you are getting ready to start and where you are starting. If you have the ability to send out those emails, the emails that you get from me the um, after the series each week, those are not auto-populated. I just send them out of my Gmail. You guys can do that as well. Um, so that's a very acceptable way to communicate with your community. Just make sure that you are including the pertinent information in that email. Include the calendar invite. Again, if there are different time zones, don't assume that everyone understands the different time zones, and include clarity with that. And a replay is always a great idea to reduce the FOMO. So if someone isn't able to make it, let them know that a replay will be available. It's also really important to set the room tone and keep things active. Ask guided questions or prompts. Make sure that there are micro activities that are occurring. We like to do the questions whenever we join in at the very start of the webinar, like, what is your favorite YouTube channel? And then, if possible, depending, do a show and tell. Invite people to share what they have going on in their community, because it's a great way for dynamic conversation and learning. So this is a big one, accessibility. In our community development world, it's really important to remember that the bigger our tent is, the bigger our community can be. And so as we are coming to this digital world now, make sure that we have live captions and our slides are readable. It's very easy to get lost in the design of making slides and putting pretty fonts on the page, but they can't all be read. Or if someone is using a screen reader, sometimes the super scripty fonts are difficult for those screen readers to decipher. So we just want to be cognizant that not everyone has the same abilities as each of us. And let's just use high contrast visuals avoid tiny texts, and then post transcripts and use alt text on images to make sure that anyone who has those visual impairments are able to have the same ability and same experience on screen as those of us that do not have those visual impairments. And then provide summaries for people that are in a hurry. Not everyone has the same time limitations. And so if you really want to make an impact for your community, meet them where they are and let them know that you're willing to serve. And this is probably my favorite thing to do, honestly. I love repurposing content, and this is probably the most powerful thing that you can do with your YouTube channel for your community is create an unlimited amount of content from whatever you're doing with your YouTube channel. And I do this regularly. So I have an example here of some that I have recently done from our most recent webinar series that we have up on YouTube. But you take replays and put them out on your other social media channels. Break a video into chapters and create shorts on YouTube, and then turn those shorts into reels on Facebook and Instagram. Take a key moment from that video clip and use that as a more professional LinkedIn post. And then you can even take an outline of the video and then turn that into a blog post or an email newsletter. There's so many options that you have available to you to take this piece of content and turn it into other pieces of content. But essentially what you're doing is you're promoting yourself and you're promoting whatever it was that you had on your channel at that time. Um, but without having to create all brand new content. And so this is just a really smart loop that you can continue to put in place. Um, and we use it here at the university. We use it in our community engagement divisions, and it's very effective. And so I wanted to make sure I shared that with each of you. Another thing is borrow trust with smart partnerships. Um, and this goes a long way in a couple different directions as far as um, it it grows your trust with your audience, first of all, but then it also grows your brand reach as well, because when you bring someone onto your channel or your show, they're going to talk about it with their audience as well. And typically, if they're part of another organization or association or whatever entity they belong to, they like to talk about um, their their people being on shows, and they like to publicize that as well. And so that's going to grow your reach. That's going to grow your brand awareness as well whenever you create these partnerships and they cross promote and they cross post and they talk about what is happening. And so what's helpful to have is like a what we'll call a brand amplification kit. And so what you would want to have in there is something that you feel good about, and how you want your show or your channel to be talked about. And again, you don't have to have that created today, but just start thinking about, what is something that you would want to hand out and say, okay, this is how I would like you to talk about you being on my show. And then just, start brainstorming what that would look like And then think about, you would want that avatar to be on there, and you would want, your name as the host to be on there. And think about some of those other more important details, maybe your about page from your about us section from the description earlier. Think about those things that you can repurpose and put on there, and that's the start of your amplification kit.
Lindsay, can I interject here? Because
Yes.
you're absolutely right. And this is something that Chris has done with her alumni success sharing sessions. And I don't know if you don't mind me calling on you, Chris, to just quickly say like how you share the amplification kit that you share with the presenters that come onto that webinar series.
Sure. So in order to make sure that everyone's on the same page, I have just like a list of all of the roles that everyone's going to be doing, how everything's going to happen, so that if we don't have the opportunity to do a practice session beforehand, it sets expectations and it calms nerves a lot. And especially, I'm a multilingual person. And if I have to present in another language, I am even more stressed than when I have to present normally. And so I want to help my colleagues out as much as possible to help them feel more comfortable in that presenting space. And so, and like, so that's one of the things that I do. And um, you were talking about like some of the branding and stuff like that. And we have found actually that like sometimes our backgrounds don't always work with us. And those are just like random little things that as we go along, we try to track and then troubleshoot as we go into like the 15 minutes prior. Because as Lindsay said, everyone's extremely busy. And as much as I would love to, ask someone for a 30-minute time ahead of time, sometimes that's just really not optional. So that's what I have. I have an email that I sent out a week beforehand. And it's even in the email, it says, I'm going to send this to you the day before. So it's at the top of your email box, because even with the alumni that I work with, I've found that multiple reminders are best, and they don't find it, or at least people have thanked me for it, saying it hasn't been intrusive. So I find it's important to make sure that you've strike that balance of being helpful but not intrusive to your partners. So.
And added to that, you send them the graphics, like you create a special like
Oh yeah.
Facebook banner and social
I
media
send them all.
graphics. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I also send them like, here's the post. If you want to promote the post, I'm promoting the post. Here is all of the visual assets for that. I do bios for them so that when they look into the sign in, they can see it for themselves. And like, I want to use their specific logo. I want to show that partnership with their organization, because it's not, as Lindsay was saying, we don't want to be the know all be all. Our idea is to promote what our alumni are doing as far as their success. And that means shining a light on them and what they're doing and their identities. And so that is extremely important, because that's how we're, I'm trying to exemplify the three-way partnership. So did I miss something?
No, thank you, Lindsay, for allowing us to kind of interject there. But I just thought there was such a really good real world, like right now example of exactly what you're talking about.
No, absolutely. Um, so that takes us into the funnel. Um, and don't be intimidated by this. I love this little graphic over here because I think this really just pictures perfectly what a funnel does, and that it it funnels people from one platform or place to another, and whether that's from YouTube to your website or to another social media platform, that's going to depend on you. But think about how or where you want to get people from one point to another. So you're not just having people come to a YouTube channel to have them come to a YouTube channel. You're doing it for a purpose, and you're wanting your community to engage with you on a deeper level for a more specific reason. And whatever that reason may be is going to be different for each community. And it doesn't matter, because what we're going to talk about here is not specific for any community. So when you're having someone come and listen to your YouTube channel and you're delivering your message, you want to have value first content. So you don't just want to have someone come and listen to you talk. You want to have a soft call to action. So maybe that looks like sign up for our newsletter. And then that next step is when they sign up for your newsletter, they get a welcome email. And in that welcome email, they get a recap of whatever the video was that they watched, and they get a list of resources. And then the next step is that they go from that newsletter to a private Facebook community. And in that private Facebook community, that's where you really have true one-on-one engagement with that person that you would have never been able to have with them just hanging out on your YouTube channel. So I just want to make sure that everyone's seeing how we walked someone from viewing them on a YouTube channel to engaging with them in a private Facebook community. So there's a series of steps, and this is called funneling. And sorry, I talk a lot with my hands too, I just realized. Um, but we're providing value first content and a call to action. That's that CTA, call to action, and maybe that sign up for our newsletter. And when they sign up for the newsletter, they get a welcome email. And in that welcome email, they get a recap of the video and a resource, and that resource is an invite to the Facebook group. Or maybe it's not a Facebook group, maybe it's a WhatsApp group. It doesn't, whatever that may be, but you're getting them closer to you than just being a viewer on your YouTube channel. And if there's questions about this, we can get to that in a little bit. So call to actions that build community and not build pressure are things like join us live next week. There's a link in the description. Or drop your experience in the comments. Or what's your favorite YouTube channel? Share it in the comments. Or share this webinar with one person who needs to see it. Those are very non-intimidating, non-threatening calls to action. A call to action that would create pressure is like, buy now. That's not what we're trying to do with our community. And then you want to measure some things. What impact are you having, and how are you having it? So with YouTube, you're going to have a CTR, which is your click-through rate, your average views, and your returning viewers. With webinars, you can look at your registration rate versus how many people show up. You can look at your chat participation, email, open rate versus the click-through rates. In your community, how many repeat attendees are you seeing in your events? UGC is user generated content. So how many people in your community are creating content about what you're doing on their own and just posting it? Um, are people asking you about collaborations, those types of things? And then, um, really and this is the great one here, how many people are or organizations are coming up and just creating action together? Um, that's a great one. And keep track of these things, because if later down the road, if you are going to apply for funding, any sort of a grant, these are metrics that you can use in that reporting. So these are the things that you want to avoid. Having an inconsistent schedule. Even if you are only putting up one video a month, make sure that you are doing it at the same date and the same time every month. Not having a call to action. Uh, Believe it or not, we as human beings like to be told what to do. So we like to have a clear expectation. So tell your audience what you want them to do. One clear next step. That's it. We can't handle more than that. Low audio quality is a bad thing. I don't know if any of you have ever gone and heard where it sounds like somebody's eating the microphone. Um, that's awful to listen to. So just make sure that you don't have the microphone in your mouth if you are using a microphone. And you don't want too much content all at one time. It would have been way too overwhelming if we tried to talk about every single piece of digital, um, all these digital skills in one webinar. It would have been way too much. So we broke them into weekly sessions. And make sure that anyone that's coming on to your YouTube channel, if you are recording them, that you have consent to record them, and especially if they are a minor. Avoid sharing sensitive or personal info, and make sure if you are using any images or music that it is royalty free and credit those sources. This is just a quick tool stack. Like I said, we'll share this so that you can have access to it. And then as an episode blueprint, this is kind of a general rule of thumb, not something you have to follow exactly, but you can copy and paste this if you want to use it in your own episodes. And if you want to do a 45-minute show, this is what that would look like as well. If you want to launch in 90 days, this is what I would recommend that you do over the next couple of weeks to get your YouTube channel up and running. And at this point, we're going to turn it over to Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can put those in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen.
Great job,
And
Lindsay. And
thank you.
there's a couple questions came through in the chat while you were going through this presentation, including a question about kind of paid versus unpaid aspects of YouTube. So can you speak on, so there's, in my interpretation, there might be two ways to answer that. And one is there is YouTube is a free channel, right?
Yes.
To create a profile and to join and to watch. And you have, as a viewer, you have the option to pay for YouTube Premium, and that just takes away ads. But on the creator side, have you, what experience or what can you share about like I guess, paid advertising versus organic?
So on the creator's side, you can pay for ads. So if you want to advertise on YouTube, you have the opportunity to put ads on YouTube. So the types of things that we as a consumer typically like to skip during what we're watching on YouTube, you can pay to have your ad on YouTube. Other than that, as a creator, there's not really much that you have to pay for on YouTube. It's pretty nice, honestly. I have yet to meet the threshold of anything that we need to pay for at this time. Does that answer the question?
I think it answers it.
If not, ask the question in a different way and I will try to answer it again. What other questions do we have?
I don't, this isn't, this, some of these comments weren't asked in the form of a question, but there was some engagement about calls to action. So I wonder if we can, you're showing us the back end of the YouTube now, Lindsay. So maybe as you
Yes.
show us around, will you talk about the ways that you use call to actions for the different YouTube and webinar series that you manage?
Sure. So this is well, right now we're just at YouTube, youtube.com. And we're about to, I'll show you. So this is the Appalachian Programs YouTube account. And if you wanted to, you can see this is where you can either upload a video, go live, or just create a post. So whenever we go live, this is what we do. And we will schedule stream. Now, once you have done this, you don't have to keep doing this, which is nice. So this is honestly what I do. We reuse these settings because we have the same series every month on the third Thursday. So our last webinar was on black walnut, well, alternative tree species, but all black walnut and sorry, Siri thought I was talking. On black walnut and sycamore. And so I would just come in here and I'm going to change this title. So no webinar in November. Just going to, and then down here, we'll change this. No webinar in November. New hunting season. And then we use it says streaming software, education, and then these are all the different categories for going live. So you would go in and pick which category you fall under or your channel falls under. We are an education-based channel. Right here is where you upload your thumbnail. And then here's where you select the playlist that you would want your video to go to. If you have different audiences, you always want to make sure that you note whether your video is specific for children or not. When you select no, just know that like it doesn't mean that your video is bad. There's just specific algorithms that work for YouTube Kids, and it'll pull videos into YouTube Kids. I don't really think that, alternative tree syrups needs to be pulled into YouTube Kids, so we're going to select no. And we don't need to have any sort of age restriction on this. So we just hit next. And then this is where we make sure that we want to have all of the live chat features enabled, that anyone can participate in this. And you have the option with YouTube that after the video ends, that viewers can be redirected to a different website, or you can add a trailer. We do not do that on YouTube. So we just go next. And then this is really important. So whenever you get to this part, you want to make sure that you determine how you want your video to be visible. Do you want it to be a private video where it's only listed to you and people that you choose, which means you would have to share the link with people for them to be able to find and view that video. Unlisted, same thing. It's not going to be published onto your channel that anyone can just find. Public, that's anyone's going to be able to see it. So we want this to be public. This would be for the third Thursday in November at 7 p.m. And we hit done. And then YouTube does its thing. And now at this point, our live premiere is scheduled. So if you know that you want to share this with people because you know that there's you're going to have several social media posts that you want scheduled, and this is going to go in your newsletter. You come up here and you click that little arrow and you copy this link here, and that's the video link for folks to access the link. And so you can see, if you share this now and go to that link, this is what you will see. You'll see the thumbnail that you uploaded, and we're going live in 22 days with a countdown. And whoever goes to this, they can get notified. So if they put the little notification reminder on for their YouTube channel, they will get notified whenever your YouTube channel goes live, which is also a really cool feature of YouTube. And then if we want, let me see here, let me move some things around a second. Get back to the channel this way.
Well, and we're just a little bit over time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who might be able to stay on with us, but I just very quickly want to say thank you, Lindsay, for a wonderful presentation. And thank you everyone for participating today. We do have one more session in the Amplify series. There's going to be a panel discussion next week with all of the staff on the communications team. We're going to be talking about AI as a tool for communications. And one last thing that Chris wanted to elevate was recognition, Lindsay, of the impact that the webinar series that you started out of the woods has had in terms of gaining national and international recognition in the tree syrup world. So as we kind of conclude the program and as people might have to log off, will you just share briefly the work it took and then some of the positive and more expansive outcomes from the
Sure.
consistency of that webinar series?
Yeah, so Out of the Woods started during COVID. It was a way for us to educate our producers. We used to do a lot of workshops in person, and Out of the Woods created a way for us to educate our producers when we couldn't do things in person. And so it's been about 5 years in the works of having consistent once a month webinar series. And that's why I say it's significantly more important to be consistent than to be perfect. Um, I can't tell you how many times we have had tech issues happen during the webinar series. Um, how many times a speaker hasn't been able to show up and we've filled in. Um, Strive to be a high achiever, don't strive for perfection. And that's what's gotten us where we are. Just be consistent, show up and authentically serve your community, and that will get you the success that we've had. And it's been an absolute honor and privilege to serve the farming community in Appalachia.
All right. And happy watching and happy creating. See you next Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone.